Welcome! This video is about phantom eye syndrome. You've probably never heard of it. I only recently became aware of it, and I will explain why shortly. But you may have heard of its cousin, phantom limb syndrome. That's when somebody loses a limb, but they still feel sensations, usually hot or cold, or itching or pain. And that's because the neuromapping in the brain is still mapped out for a body with all of its parts. However, one or more of those parts are missing. So there's a mismatch, and the brain kind of goes haywire, and the person experiences these physical sensations for something that isn't there. Phantom eye syndrome is similar, except it's visually based. So somebody who has phantom eye syndrome will experience, most often, a kaleidoscope type pattern. And it kind of undulates like this. It's geometric. Some say it has a breathing feeling. Some say it looks like water. But it's persistent, and it's being generated by the visual cortex, even though the person only has one eye. Now, I'm very familiar with this because on February 22nd, I had my eye removed. And it is this one. You can see you can't do that with a regular eye. It will definitely hurt. But that doesn't hurt me. So I had to have my eye removed because I developed a large tumor in the eye from ocular melanoma. This is a rare form of eye cancer. It only affects about 2,500 people a year in the United States. They don't know what causes it. It's not caused by the sun or your diet or anything like that. It's kind of a mystery. But it starts with a nevus that mutates and turns into cancer. Mine turned into a very large tumor, 16 millimeters wide by 7 millimeters deep. So it was a big one. And it was causing all sorts of visual disturbances. There's two options. You can get radiation, which is called brachytherapy, or enucleation, which is having your eye removed. Brachytherapy involves taking a radioactive disc in the shape of your tumor and sewing it to the back of your eye for 5 days. And it kills the tumor. However, it also kills a substantial part of your eye. Because my tumor was so big, because I had a retinal detachment because of the tumor, and how close it was to the center of vision, I would have been left blind if I would have got the radiation. And the damage probably would have left me with glaucoma, which is a lifelong problem involving pain and drugs to mitigate that pain for the rest of your life. So I said, I don't want that. Let's have the eye removed. So that's what they did. And what I have for my prosthetic, I have what's called conversational style movement. So as you probably noticed, I'm just talking to you like this. It looks pretty natural. And if I looked right and left like this, you know, it moves with it. You can see, right? Not too bad. And that's called conversational style movement. So if we were just having lunch and talking, you wouldn't freak out and you wouldn't know anything was up, which solves the purpose. And this is a handmade prosthetic, and I've had it 6 weeks after my enucleation on February 22nd. So pretty new to this. Anyway, I will show you now, because I'm sure you're curious, what it looks like. So, a little sticky today. So, there's my prosthetic. It's not like people think. People think, oh, it's like a marble and it'll roll away. It's like, no, it won't do that. It's sort of like a giant contact. And this is what it looks like close up. And you can see that this was molded to my eye. It fits my eye specifically. They injected my eye socket with quick drying plaster, which made the mold. This was hand painted. And the little red threads there, the veins you see, that's actually from red thread from yarn. So this is all hand painted. Did a very good job. And when it's in my eye socket, it looks very good. So the reason it moves is because when you have your eye removed, they don't just rip it out and throw it away. All right, that'd be crazy. It's actually a very specific procedure, and they your eye is encased in two layers of flesh. One's called the conjunctiva, and it's clear. You don't even see it. But that's kind of why your eye is shiny, because it's covered with the conjunctiva that comes right up to your iris. And then also encasing the eye is the Tenon's capsule. This prevents things from going behind your eye. That's why you literally can't lose a contact behind your eyeball, because there's a wall of flesh that stops it. So in surgery, they open up the conjunctiva and the Tenon's capsule, and now they have the eye. And the eye has 4 rectus muscles. There's 2 here, make it go left and right, and there's 2 here that go up and down. That's what moves your eye. They unhook those muscles, and they put in an orbital implant. Mine is 22 millimeters. It's synthetic. And they reattach the muscles. So now my muscles move this orbital implant. Then they sew up the Tenon's capsule, and then they sew up the conjunctiva, and that heals. And that's what you're looking at here. This is, and you can see, it moves pretty good, right? I got really good movement with my eye socket here. So what you're seeing is the conjunctiva, which is shiny, on top of the Tenon's capsule, and then that's how it goes. So I first started noticing these phantom eye syndromes shortly after I had my eye removed. They first displayed when I closed my eyes. So I'd close my eyes, and then I would see this pattern, this kaleidoscope pattern made of geometric shapes, undulating, except when I closed my eyes, it was yellowish on a black background. Some people see it clear. Mine was yellow on black. However, when my eyes are open, I also see it. But it's translucent and largely shades of gray. It's hard to describe because it's there all the time. When my eyes are relaxed, it comes roaring back and I can see it in vivid detail. And if I'm concentrating on something, it fades away a little bit, though I still see it on the peripheral. So it's always there, but depending on whether I'm tired or concentrating, or whether I'm looking at a complex scene or a simple scene, I see it more or less. But it's always there. It may never go away. Now, this may seem very bizarre. It's like, oh wow, you're seeing this hallucination over your vision. That must be irritating. And it is irritating. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like it. I hope it goes away in a year or so. It may never, but hopefully it will. In the meantime, this is what I deal with. However, it's not as crazy as you think. And that's because we don't see with our eyes. We don't see with our eyes. What do I mean by that? What I mean is the eyes bring in data. That's their job. It's just to bring in data. However, your visual cortex is what makes sense of that data. Now here's the catcher. It takes 30 to 70 milliseconds for that light to travel through your eye, hit the retina, go through the optical nerve, and then for your brain to present an image. Now you can see the problem. If it takes 30 to 70 milliseconds for this light to be processed into an image, it's obviously an old image. So your brain has an interesting trick. It calculates what's going on in the scene. So let's say you have a ball that's going across the lawn. You have a car coming down the street towards you, and then you have clouds and some birds. The brain notices all these things in movement, and it calculates what the world will look like 30 to 70 milliseconds into the future. And that's what it shows you. So you don't see what the world looks like. None of us do. It's a simulation. So the big difference between you and me is we are both operating under a simulation that our brain presents to us. However, I have an additional simulation on top created by my phantom eye syndrome, because the neural mapping in my visual cortex still hasn't quite figured out what to do with this situation because there's no data coming in. So it's kind of freaking out and making this kaleidoscope hallucination that I see all the time. So if you have your eye removed and this happens to you, you're normal. It's okay. You're not going crazy, though most people won't believe you. Even your doctor may not believe you because they'll say that's impossible. But it is possible because we see with our brains, not our eyes. And what makes it even more confusing is the sensation is this hallucination is coming from the left side. It's very distinct. It feels like it's coming from this eye. However, it presents over the entire field of vision because your brain combines left eye with right eye into one vision. So that's what I'm stuck with. That's why it happens. Hopefully it'll go away. And it's called phantom eye syndrome. Thank you. Oh, you might want to see me put my eye back in again. Getting pretty fast. There we go. Oh, left, right, left, right. There we go. All right, thank you.